that we definitely cover here dealing with politics and especially with illegal immigration and how this further tells us that this country at its core of its root is still systematically racist against Black folk. I've been reading hundreds of comments of people leaving me basically stating that it's not only a Black thing, it's an America thing when we talk about immigration. And I can understand their position on the topic. I can understand their philosophy on the topic. But for far too long, Black Americans have been putting on a cape for other groups. We've been kumbaya-ing. We have been all lives matter for far too long. And now that we're trying to be more unified than we've ever been since the civil rights movement back in the late 50s to the mid 60s, people now want us to kumbaya, join hands, and all lives matter. Foundational Black Americans are not doing that. We're not doing that. We're worried about ourselves right now. We're not worried about the conflict between Israel and Palestine and Gaza, or the Houthi and all sorts of rebels and terrorist groups. We're not worried. We're not worried about it, family. We're not worried about the conflict, the war, the battle between Ukraine and Russia. We're not worried about it. We've been neglecting ourselves for far too long, and it's time for us to start focusing on ourselves. Yeah, we are very humane. It's not like we are ignoring the atrocities that are occurring with all the conflict and all the issues with other countries, as well as immigrants coming to America for quote unquote opportunities. Or as I would like to believe, feeding off the foundation that our ancestors and that we uphold to this day. Not just the infrastructure of America, not the wealth of America, but the very laws that Black Americans have fought and died for to instill for humanity, for immigrants, from people from other countries to come here for a better life, where we don't have a better life than them. It's time for us to focus on ourselves. That don't mean that we're ignorant. That doesn't mean that we ignore other groups or other countries or other strife that people are going through. It means none of that, family. It just means that finally, instead of me focused on everybody else's family, I'm focused on mine. That's all that means. I see I got DSB in the room. Thank you for coming, a new member, DSB. I do appreciate that, brother. I see you around the Black empowerment space. I understand that you're serious. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. Because ain't nothing like becoming a member and showing loyalty to the movement. Showing loyalty to the movement. Thank you, Ja Rules and Rhonda Smith, for letting me know about my sound. I'm still dealing with sound issues. I've been trying. I dumped a couple of $100 into sound, and I'm still having issues. Hopefully we can get through this, because I have a lot to cover tonight, family. I have a lot to cover. Okay. Now, first on the chopping block, let's just get this out the way. We understand that Donald Trump is now the Republican nominee. Okay. Nikki Haley bowed out. You know, he had 1,000 some odd pledges to his candidacy, and Nikki only had 90. So he had over 1,000. Okay. And Nikki Haley ends presidential campaign with no regrets, ceding GOP nominee to Trump. Okay. So that's what's going on right now when it comes to those two. Let's move on. We're going to be moving quickly in this first part of it, family, because I don't want to be before you long like the good pastor. I want to be before you long. Are you guys understanding what Mayor Adams is doing now? Are you guys familiar with Mayor Adams and what he is doing now? Oh, family, fellow New Yorkers. I'm not a New Yorker, but those in New York, as we dive into this critical issue that's grabbing New York City, Mayor Adams, the sanctuary mayor of the year, next to Brandon Johnson in Chicago, the one who is basically is given the keys to the city for illegal immigrants. Oh, I'm sorry, illegal migrants. I mean, undocumented migrants. YouTube always flagging me, family. I know other brothers in the space, they know how to politically choose their words wisely. I don't. But nonetheless, Mayor Adams, he's basically made a decision to reinstate or to initially do a policy that has to do with bag checks in New York City subways, that the police can just randomly look at people, randomly analyze people, check people out, or as we would like to say, racially profile people to check their bags. Now, again, I don't want to lean one way to another, but I already stated a certain thing. But here's my thing. Is this the modern day stop and frisk? Can someone answer that for me? Is this the modern day stop and frisk that Mayor Adams is doing? Because he's literally giving New York Police Department police people the right to racially or indiscriminately check people's bags. It sounds like stop and frisk to me. I may be wrong, but it sounds like stop and frisk to me. Because let's be crystal clear. This is not only regressive, but it's also a glaring testament to the flawed logic that's perpetuating by discriminatory policies. Now, I understand what he's getting at. There has been a lot of immigrant crimes that's dealing around shelters. There's already been 3 or 4 people who was unalived in the New York subway this year. Okay. And a lot of this violence, unfortunately, is coming from the undocumented migrants population, the undocumented migrants demographics. But you'll have some people on certain trains pouting their chests talking about America's criminal or crime level has not increased because of illegal immigration. And yes, it has. We've proven that time and time again right here on Black Logic. Because when we analyze and we look at New York, and especially with Mayor Adams, in the wake of series of alarming assaults in the subway, Mayor Adams is now to start bad checks as a supposed solution. And in some regards, it makes me think about this, family. We should not be fooled by this facade of security or securing the theater of New York as well as the subway system. Because when I think about bad checks, not only does bad checks infringe upon civil liberties, but also disproportionately targeted Black people. You know why? New York policemen have a history of racism when it comes to Black folk. Just look at Mayor Bloomberg when he was in office about stop and frisk. Look at that. Look at all the things that happened with stop and frisk. And this is the same thing. It's going to go from a bad check to a body check. And if we revisit the dark era of stop and frisk policies, for years under the guise of maintaining law and order, innocent Black people, innocent New Yorkers were subject to unwarranted searches simply based on the color of their skin. There's a lot of brothers, there's a lot of sisters that could have went free only because they had a dime bag. Should they have it? Should they have had a dime bag? Absolutely not. But they shouldn't be going to jail over a dime bag. You know what I'm talking about, family. But we understood, just like Joe Biden's 1994 crime bill, this is blatant racial profiling that basically violates and will consequently target Black Americans when we talk about these so-called bag checks. Because if your police department, a great majority of them are inherently racist and have racist biases, whether they be subconscious or conscious, then what do you think is going to happen with this bag check policy? Who do you think going to be targeted more so than other people? You would like to believe they would just be focusing on the undocumented migrants. That's what you would like to believe. But I just don't think that this whole modern day stop and frisk is going to target one said group. This is going to target a large, very concentration of Black New Yorkers. And just to bring in constitutional right, we have to understand that the Fourth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution protects people from unreasonable searches and seizures. Bag checks without probable cause actually violates your fundamental rights according to the Constitution. But I can understand Mayor Adams' so-called public safety, that he's trying to make it safe for all. But here's the thing, family. If they can do a bag check and if they follow constitutional laws, that it's unreasonable search and seizures, they can simply have the suspicion of you being an undocumented migrant that may be carrying drugs, firearms, or something that is unlawful. That is where that's leading to. That is exactly where that's leading to, family. Let me move on. There's a lot to cover here tonight, family. There's a lot to cover. Protesters disrupt city council meeting demanding housing for refugees. Wow. This is just truly unbelievable. Now, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the story. It states that a group of protesters disrupted a Seattle City Council meeting Tuesday after demanding the city fund temporary housing for refugees who are once again facing eviction. I want you to think about this, because when they state that protesters are there protesting for these quote unquote refugees.
Well, that is the question they went to City Hall to ask. It's not clear if they have an answer, but the city money has run out. And from what I'm told, their hotel stay will be ending tomorrow morning. Seattle City Council disrupted as asylum seekers and their supporters once again pleaded for support. Council President Sarah Nelson saying there are limited resources here.
I don't really want to participate in a conversation that should be had with county leaders, state leaders, federal leaders.
Council ultimately took a break from the meeting.
So what's crazy about this, family, is that they're literally protesting for migrants to get housing, because this is kind of that group, all lives matter, this is inhumane, but no one is speaking about the lawful rights of the Constitution and what should be done legally. What should be done legally. So that is what happened in Seattle. Let's move on. Did I skip one? Because there's a couple of things I want you guys to see this evening. There's a couple of things I want you to ponder about, because you guys should be getting involved in your local elections. You should be getting involved. Now, I'm not talking about national, family, when it comes to reparations. You know where we stand at with that. But for your local elections, now I had a whole slew of things here for you guys, of course. As always, it always refreshes. Because let me tell you what's going on in places like Chicago. There's a lot of people, and I mean a lot of people, that's stepping out about this, family. Listen to this. Give me a second, family. It's loading up. Let me make sure the volume is good. Okay, family. I see that I'm having issues with that. Let me see if I can reload it. We're gonna try it one more time, then we'll move on. All right. We're gonna come back to that clip nonetheless. Now, I don't know you guys familiar with going on with Maine. Did you guys now trying to give migrants 2 years of free housing? Maine is trying to give migrants 2 years of free housing. Listen to this, family. There's a new program in Maine will provide asylum seekers with free housing for up to 2 years as cities across the country continue grappling with an influx of migrants. They're going to give migrants up to 2 free years to live in housing. The United States has seen an influx of migrants entering the country in recent months, at times creating new challenges for city officials as they seek to allocate resources for them. Founding homes for migrants has become a key issue, particularly in communities that already have housing shortages. Many have been living in shelters and hotels across the country, but one city in Maine is launching a program to give migrants free housing. When have they done it for Black folk? There's going to be some suspected white supremacists stating, oh, well, you got Section 8. Well, I don't know if people are familiar with Section 8. Yeah, some people may pay $1, some people may pay $100, but it's not free. But they're getting, tell me what you can do with 2 free years of living in the house. Tell me what you can do with 2 free years of living in an apartment. They're already giving them work visas and work permits and driver's licenses, you name it. Greens, beans, tomato, you name it. They're getting everything, family. They're getting everything. And see, this is the racism, how the Democratic Party shows to Black folk. How liberals really show for Black folk. See, in my opinion, and you guys may not agree, the liberals are more dangerous than the Republican conservatives. The Democrats are more dangerous than the Republicans. Because this is how they undermine, this is how they sucker punch, this is how they put the foot on our necks. Because all these cities, all these towns, all these states are ran by Democrats. And a lot of these cities like Seattle, which I lived in the Seattle area for 8 years. They have a large homeless population. And they have not even provided the same opportunities for these homeless populations, not even in Maine, not even in Seattle. You have protesters going to the city council of Seattle, fighting and protesting for migrants to get free housing. And then Maine said, we're going to take it one step further. What we're going to do is we're going to allocate a town where we're going to allow free housing for migrants. We're going to allocate free housing for migrants. And you know what we think that is? We think that is a very exciting opportunity in our state. Because if you go back after the 2 years of the program are up, the housing built by the group developers collaboratively will be converted to a mix of market rate and affordable housing unless officials decide there is no need to extend the program. So then they're going to make them rental properties, basically. We have thousands of folks coming to Maine who want to make Maine home. We're doing everything we can to help the situation, we told the news stations. What is that doing? That's openly inviting people from other countries. Did you know I had a conversation on an audio app? I'll just say it that way. And someone told me that America will never become overpopulated, that America's infrastructure will never suffer because of overpopulation. And I call lies. You cannot have every country in the world flock to America and believe that America will not become overpopulated. Not too many people live in South Dakota. Not too many people live in North Dakota. But let me tell you this, family. If you have Venezuela, Mexico, Colombia, Costa Rica, Haiti, Brazil, China, India, and the list goes on and on and on. If a third of their country comes to America, you don't think America be overpopulated? Did you know within the last 3 months of fiscal year 2024, did you know we have almost had 1 million undocumented migrants coming to the country? Did you know that? Did you know that? Why is it so important to us? That's the question. Why are you so fired up? What's the Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why, family. And hopefully we can get this going. But for some strange reason, we can't get this going. Let's see if we can get this going. Now all of a sudden I'm having issues. I'm having issues. Give me a second. Let me get this together. Give me one time, family. Give me one time here. All of a sudden, we have almost 1 million illegal immigrants inside the country. But they would tell that this is the problem. Now, we might have to come back to some of these clips for whatever reason, having certain issues, but we're going to get through it, family. And here's something I want to point out where a lot of these migrants are coming from. Now, recently, majority of these migrants are coming from China. Since December of 23, we have had almost 24,000 migrants from China, which the Customs and Border Patrol is stating that it's a 500% increase. That's what they're stating, family. It's a 500% increase. Let me show you guys what I'm talking about here.
People from climbing over it is nearly complete in San Diego. It's more than 30 feet tall and has an awning on the top.
So this is the new border crossing that majority of the undocumented migrants are going to because of some of the border policies that Texas has put in place, as well as Arizona. So now people are now entering by the way of California. So California, even though they're a sanctuary state, guess what California is doing? They have a new anti-climb mechanism that they affixed on top of the already wall that was built, so migrants can't enter through California. Wait a minute, California. Wait a minute, Governor Gavin Newsom. What happened to the sanctuary city status? What happened to opening the migrants with open arms? Last time I checked, California was probably predominantly Hispanic.
As you can see, that hangs over onto the Mexican side. The surge of illegal crossings is overwhelming the country. Axios reporting the U.S. projects more than 8 million asylum seekers will be living here by the end of September, a 167% spike. That's in 5 years. Jorge Ventura joining us now with the latest on what officials at the border are telling you and also the specifics of this new wall.
Yeah, Martin, right now, officials on the San Diego border are building that new border barrier between Tijuana and San Diego in an area known as Friendship Park. If you take a look at the top of that fence, you'll see a new metal device kind of shaped like a comma with a pointy end hanging over the Mexican side. Now, at this time, this is still a prototype that is in works in the San Diego sector that is seeing a surge in illegal crossings. But if it does manage to deter migrants from hopping over that wall, eventually those metal tops will be installed in other sections along the river. But advocates warning that even with this new wall design, migrants will still find a way around it.
We continue to see an increase of people that are falling from the border wall and seeking medical treatment. In this case, if they fall onto the Mexican side, then we won't have an accounting for how dangerous this new feature might be.
Now, incidents of people falling over the wall are common in San Diego. Just this past weekend, Border Patrol agents and San Diego Fire Rescue responded to 10 injured migrants, including children who fell while trying to climb a 30-foot fence. And so far, Monty, 4 people.
They have these people repelling from the wall, family. And this was going to happen. Stories like this are both good and bad. The good part, they're adding more mechanisms so undocumented migrants can climb, that they won't be able to climb over into America. But technically, people will say this is inhumane because people are falling and they're becoming unalive because of the fall trying to enter to America. We just let them in. We should just let them in. There should be no recourse for these actions. There should be no sanctions. There should be no restrictions. There should be no penalties for these actions. That's what people are going to tell you. But this was occurring at the border, family. This is what is occurring at the border. You have Maine that's allocating 2 years for undocumented migrants to live there scot-free. I want you really to think about that. Now, I got to move on here, but I really want you guys to think about the 2 free years of free housing. What can you do with 2 free years of of free housing? You don't have to pay your utilities, right? That's part of the housing, is it not? And then the government, the state governments are providing credit cards for food. So you don't have to worry about food. You don't have to worry about shelter. You don't have to worry about utilities. What else is there? Profit. And these are some of the same people, not all, but these are some of the same people, because we have them in this country to this day, that tell black folk to lift themselves up by their bootstrap and tell you that their family member, that their father, that their mother came to America with 5 cents in their pocket, and now they're multi-millionaires. And now they're multi-millionaires because they will have you to believe that their family members came over here dirt poor and that the American government did not do nothing for them. Get the hell out of here. Get the hell out of here, family. That's the lies that they would love to tell black folk. I don't understand why you guys are still at the economic floor of things. I don't understand why a majority of black people are low income. My family came over here from such and such. My family came over here from Africa. My family came over here from Mexico. My family came over here from Honduras. My family came over here from Brazil. My family came over here from Costa Rica. My family came over here from Puerto Rico. My family came over here from the Caribbean. My family came over here from Jamaica. My family came over here from China. My family came over here from Syria. My family came over here from Turkey. My family came over here from Iran. My family came over here from Peru. With 3 cents in our pocket, and now we have 3 houses, 3 restaurants, a partridge and a pear tree. And you guys, I don't know why black folk are doing so bad. It must be because they must be illiterate. They must be stupid. They must be 3/5 of a human. Even though they would like to shadow ban our history. They would like to shadow ban all the medical advances and innovations that we made in that particular industry, as well as technology, as well as engineering. They don't want to know about all the beautiful and intelligent black folk. But then I have people in the comment section troll me. I love the trolls. They just show how racist this country is and how we have to continue to fight to change what we have already modernized, what we have already done for this country. We have to continue to further this country to be one of the best countries in the world. This country is not as great without foundational Black Americans. You can have anyone to lie to you about that. You can have anyone to lie to you about that, but not me. We have to know who we are. We have to know how intelligent we are. We have to know how powerful we are. We have to know how influential we are. We have to know how innovative we are. and stop having those folks. Stop having those folks to lie to us. We've been lied to, family. You've been lied to. A buddy of mine, we had a discussion, and we were talking about how Black folk, even within our own culture, will call other Black folk Sambos and coons, not even understanding because a brother is educated and that he is pronouncing his words or enouncing his words has nothing to do with the fight and struggle in his heart. But that's what they would have us to do, family. That's how they would have us to divide each other. They would have you to be more inhumane for other folks than yourself. Because here's the thing, the family, the foundation of Black Americans who are financially stable, those who are doing well off, guess what? Those are the ones are sometimes the biggest coons that you'll ever meet. Because they're doing well and their situation is rock solid. They are not willing to speak on the behalf of the majority and in the benefit of foundational Black Americans who are not at the same economic standard, at the same economic status. Those are the ones I worry about. Migrants living in makeshift camps near San Diego. Where are these migrants from? They're from Brazil, Colombia, Peru, Syria, China, and Turkey. You don't see Mexico. You don't see Honduras. Now, they're still coming over. Oh, yeah. They're still coming over, family. But they're not coming over like you think. We're having more now Chinese folk. I guess people don't like living in a dictatorship. Here's a conversation I had with a fellow guy. We talking about the construct and the fabrication of America. That America is not a republic, which states, according to the Constitution, that America is a republic. America is not a democracy that some believe is an amalgamation and transformation and a bilateral formation of a Republican state with democratic policies, regulations, and laws. No. But America is all of those things. America is a dictatorship. America is a republic. America is a democracy. And America is Marxist. And America is socialist. Welfare, socialists. 401ks where your business is allowing you to invest with them through a third party into the stock market, but at the same time, everybody's getting paid. Being an employee, believe it or not, this is a stretch. It's being socialist. Why everyone's not a contractor? Why everyone is not contracting for their own health care, contracting for their own dental care? Why are you not a contractor with the business you work for? You're an employee. They take care of you. Your employer says you do these things, I'll give you these things. Believe it or not, that's the framework of being socialist. If we want to be true capitalists, which America is essentially built on, but America was built on free labor. Is that not socialist? And this is why these people are coming inside the country, family. That's why these people are easily and freely coming inside the country. And guess what I've learned about all the different people that's essentially coming inside this country? Guess what I've learned of all the different types of people that's coming inside this country? Guess what I learned? That more than 50% of them are Asian, are Chinese. That's what I have learned.
Here in the United
United States?
The migrants previously told News Nation reporters that they're escaping the Chinese Communist Party and plan to seek asylum in the United States.
向往美国的自由。
Yearning for American freedom.
Some fly to Ecuador, where no visa is needed, and then travel north.
厄瓜多尔、巴拿马。
Others are flying into Tijuana Airport before being guided across the border by smugglers. The Chinese migrants are reportedly willing to pay cartels up to $35,000 for smuggling services. And for a lot of them, it pays off. More than 50% of Chinese asylum applications were granted in the 2023 fiscal year. That's much higher than the average across all nationalities, which is only 14%. So why are these migrants seeking asylum instead of trying to enter the U.S. legally with a visa? One possible reason is that the United States tightened visa restrictions for people from China over the last several years.
Can we be realistic about this? Can we be realistic about this? And believe me, family, when I tell you this, I don't want anybody to get triggered. I don't want anybody to get triggered. There's a great portion of Asian folk that assimilates as white folk, that has the ideology of white folk, and that are discriminatory against black folk like white folk. Tell me if I'm lying, family. Tell me if I'm lying. Can someone tell me if I'm lying? Can someone tell me if I'm lying? There's a great majority of Asians that come over here with anti-black sentiments. You know why? A lot of Asians, especially Chinese, when I saw them in Ghana, when I saw them in South Africa, and when I saw them in Kenya, you've seen all the video clippings of Chinese folk trying to beat Africans who work for them because they didn't work as hard or do something they're supposed to do. Beat them in Africa, in their own country. In museum in China, did you know that they have pictures of black folk and chimpanzees and apes right beside the black folk as they're making facial expression and then trying to find a chimpanzee that looks similar to that facial expression to basically say that black people are apes? And I want to make sure we get all of this correct. I am not stating that Asian people are racist. I'm not stating that Asian people are discriminatory. I'm not stating that Asian people are prejudiced. I'm not stating that. I'm just telling you the truth as we know it, because that's the truth that we have been. While a bunch of our sisters going to these nail and hair spots and being brutalized and vandalized and assaulted by Asian folk. I digress. But yeah, family, a great majority of them, and the important part about this is that 50% of them are actually getting the asylum status. More than 50% of them. That's what us showing us, family. I don't know if you guys understand how cruel this is. Now, here you go very quick. Let me see if I can get this. I'll hop on this one more time. Uh-oh. I'll make sure you guys hear me. Give me 1 second, family. All right, we got things up and running here. Let me cover some of your comments since I'm making a pause here. We got our sister, Lady Warrior. You got to peep the chess moves being made while everyone's eyes are on the border news. Nearly 500,000 illegals were secretly flown into various airports and promised work permits, housing, and money. Hey, there's nothing surprising about that. There's nothing surprising about that. Exactly, after they cut off our bootstraps. Lady Warrior also says, I want you to know they get instant citizenship in every country they go to. I doubt that. Look, you don't see no mic. You know what? I don't see no migrants going to Russia. I don't see no migrants going to Russia, family. I just don't see them. I appreciate the donation, DSB, my warrior brother. I do appreciate that, my brother. Also being a member of Black Logic. I encourage all of you to be a member. Support the channel, family. Support the channel so I can fix my sound. Gifts, and more gifts. Let's get back into it.
At the border. So we spoke to the House of China's president, who tells us many are choosing to leave the country for a number of reasons.
Since the implementation and lifting of Title 42, San Diego continues to be equally impacted by this unprecedented global human migration.
The immigration issue was one of the talking points for Chairwoman Nora Vargas's State of the County address Wednesday, mentioning the increase in the number of asylum seekers trying to cross into San Diego and the funding approved to help them. Funding, she says, has since run out.
Our federal government has an obligation to address this global humanitarian crisis.
And while asylum seekers continue to arrive, the demographics are changing. On Tuesday, the U.S. Border Patrol chief shared this tweet saying the San Diego sector has made over 140,000 apprehensions this fiscal year so far, with over 20,000 of them being from China, something he says is more than a 500% increase compared to the same time last fiscal year. To try and find out why, we spoke to the House of China's president, Natasha Wong, who says friends and family back home say things haven't recovered since the pandemic.
And I just heard that there are a lot of restrictions still on personal freedoms in China. Things haven't returned to normal.
Wong also runs the Chinese School of San Diego.
I mean, how are things going to return to normal for China where you live in a communist country? So I don't know what she means by that, and that's why she is over here probably. And here's another thing about what's going on when it comes to migrants. And I will always have people in my comment section, Black Logic, you don't know what you're talking about. You need to do your research. I get that a lot. You need to do your research. America is just not, they don't have open border policies. They don't have open border policies. America just don't have people who are refugees and asylum seekers to come inside and process them and just release them in the street, Black Logic. America doesn't do that. We just don't allow people who are not documented inside the country, who are not residents, who don't have visas this inside the country. We just don't catch and release. That's not what America does, Black Logic. Migrants released onto the streets of San Diego after the center closes. Border Patrol has street released more than 1,300 migrants since Friday. A veteran group, shout out to the veterans. I'm a veteran myself. The veterans group is now trying to seal a gap in the border barrier. They didn't call it on the veterans. They didn't call it on the veterans. Go and get your old flak jackets and put them against. Get your flak jackets and tape them with duct tape and 100-mile-per-hour tape. A lot of you guys know what I'm talking about. 100 miles per hour tape, and tape that to the wall. They didn't got the veterans out there, family. I don't know why that's tickling me so goddamn much. I have no idea. Oh man, that tickled me so much. Oh Lord. Family, let me tell you guys something. They're literally giving this country away. And they have never shown this amount of support for Black folk. That is what is important here. When we analyze the history of America and what they have done to our ancestors and our forefathers, and not just in slavery, family, for those who was already here, the Native Black Americans that were already here prior to the slave ships arriving. And when those 100 slaves by the way of Portugal came over with the Spanish conquistadors in 1526, that really starts the history of foundational Black Americans in the country. And when those slaves revolted and ran off in the woods of America with the Native Black Americans and formed the new group, Foundational Black Americans, we have to understand shortly after that, ships started to come over in buttloads of bringing slaves to this land. And from the ports of the African countries that the African slaves were stolen, and the African slaves were traded for guns, weapons, and all sorts of other things by the way of the Arabic, by the way of the British, and by the way of those African countries. We were brutalized in the ports. We were brutalized on the ships. We were brutalized on the plantations. We were brutalized when we were released from slavery in 1865. We were brutalized on Jim Crow, Black Reconstruction, Black Codes, the Red Summer of 1919, where they destroyed the majority of the Black Wall Streets, the multiple massacres, the flooding of our towns and cities, the discriminatory acts against housing and banking and medical, and the list goes on and on and on. And then you will have people to quote Martin Luther King like he wasn't about reparations. I guess nobody listened to I've Been to the Mountaintop. I don't think they listened to it, family. But let's go a little bit deeper here. Did you know that Tennessee is now sending troops to the border? Tennessee is not on the border, family. But Tennessee, let me show you here, is deploying National Guard members to the southern borders as Republican governors continue to support Texas in its showdown with the Biden administration over immigration and enforcement. So Tennessee is sending reinforcements to help out good old Governor Greg Abbott of Texas. Governor Bill of Tennessee, who visited the southern border in Eagle Pass, Texas earlier this month with Tennessee National Guard members at Millington, Tennessee Army National Guard Armory ahead of their voluntary deployment. It states, as America faces the most severe border crisis in decades, Tennessee is showing the rest of the country what it means to lead. The Tennessee governor posted on X today, I joined the Tennessee National Guard members who will soon deploy on a voluntary mission to secure the southern border as the federal government fails to act. You know them guys are going to be signing up left and right. They talking about that as volunteer. There's going to be hundreds of thousands of people, because I ain't going to lie, people, when military people deploy, that's probably the most money we'll ever make when we're deployed. So I'm pretty sure they're going to be volunteering. We either be for the cause or for the cash. It's going to either be for the cause, but the main significant point about here is that we now have other states that are not border states involved in securing the border. That literally contradicts what Joe Biden has allowed inside of the country. What happened to the bill, Republicans? What happened to the bill, Democrats? What happened to the bill, liberals? What happened to the bill, conservative? So you mean to tell me that politics is more important than the American people? Politics is more important than securing the border. Oh, wait a minute. Null and void everything I just said, because it's all politics. It's all politics, family. And politics, let me tell you something. Politics don't make no damn sense. Not in America. Politics don't make no sense, family. Not in America. No. Politics don't mean nothing in America, family. Politics don't mean nothing in America. Let me see if I can get at least some of these clips to start working. I'm having issues with this. That's okay. We may or may not come to some of the clips, but we're going to move on here. We're going to move on. Because I think the bigger issue is this. The bigger issue is the Biden administration asked Supreme Court to block Texas from arresting migrants under SB4 law. Now, bear with. I'm gonna do quite a bit of reading here to give you guys some context here. Got a lot of pop-ups. It states here in Eagle Pass, Texas, the Biden administration on Monday asked the Supreme Court to block Texas from enforcing an immigration law known as SB4 that would allow state law enforcement officials to arrest migrants suspected of crossing into the U.S. without authorization. One of the most far-reaching state immigration laws in modern U.S. history, SB4 would empower Texas law enforcement officials to stop, jail, and prosecute migrants on state criminal charges of illegal entry or re-entry. It would also allow state judges to issue de facto deportation orders suspected violators of the law. Let me tell you something, family. When it comes to this, I'm telling all the black folk, matter of fact, all the Americans, the one thing that you need to do is carry your damn passport with you. You live by the border. This is no game anymore, family. This is not me trying to scare you. This is not me trying to make you weary. I'm not trying to use fear tactics, but what I'm trying to tell you is Governor Abbott is on a tear. Arizona is on a tear. They're trying to stop this by themselves. They're saying, fuck the federal government. Fuck Joe Biden. This is not going on in Texas. Don't you mess with Texas. Don't you mess with Texas. There was a point of time in the past 10 years or so where Texas was trying to succeed from the union. That wasn't going to happen. But nonetheless, you can just understand how bold Texas is. I should know. I live in Texas. I'm from DC, but I live in Texas. And let me tell you, don't mess with Texas. He got the state troopers out there. He got the National Guards out there. He ain't playing around. Oh, Lord, he ain't playing around, family. He ain't playing around. Governor Abbott? No. He's not playing around. In matter of fact, invasion by migrants. Invasion by migrants. Let me tell you why this is so significant. Let me tell you why this is so significant. This is very important for you guys to understand this very quickly. Texas Governor Greg Abbott, a Republican who signed SB4 in December, has argued the law is needed to reduce migrant crossing across Biden administration of not doing enough to deter illegal immigration. Texas state troopers have already been arresting some migrants on trespassing charges, but SB4 would allow them to make arrests without the collaboration of property owners. That means that the state border patrol, that means that the National Guard of Texas are off the leash, can do whatever they want. They don't even have to have people calling in, people making allegations, people saying there's people crossing across my property, there's people trespassing. They don't even need that, family. This is basically something they're going to tell them, go and get them. Go and get them. And then the Biden administration, on the other hand, has said that SB4 interferes with federal immigration enforcement, ignores U.S. asylum law, and jeopardizes foreign relations with Mexican government, which has denounced the state law as anti-immigrant measures. Good old Mexico. Good old Mexico. You low down, Mexico. And I'm not talking about Mexicans. I'm talking about the government of Mexico. That's what I'm referring to, family. Family, there's a lot of things going on when it comes to immigration. And I advise my Black foundational brothers and sisters, as well as my fellow Americans, if you live within 30 miles, 50 miles of the border, more like 30 miles of the border, you should be walking around with a copy of your passport or a copy of your passport with your driver's license. Some people, that is going too far. It's not, family. It's not. because they may be stopping and frisking. They may be checking bags. That may be racial profiling. And here's the thing about the migrants that are crossing the border. They're not just Latinos. They're not just Hispanics. They're not just Asians. But there's Haitians who are Black, people from South America, as well as Central America, which are Afro-Brazilians, as well as regular Brazilians, as well as people from Peru and Syria. So you have Middle Easterners. You have everybody coming through the southern border between New Mexico, Arizona, Texas, and California. But because of all of the deterrence that Governor Abbott has done for the state of Texas, did you know that the crossing have been decreased significantly? Did you know at one point in time, and I was trying to get a clip up here for you guys, that they were having 3,000 to 4,000 migrants cross every single day? And I believe what Governor Abbott says that that's down for Texas for 3 to 4 a day. Wow. That's very significant, family. He's been doing a lot of things to slow and stop the illegal border crossings, the illegal border crossings. Because I think a lot of times people think of these sort of humane things. You know what's humane? Doing things legally. Doing things legally. That's humane. Coming into a country the right way. That's humane, is it not? So let's talk about the key words that they were stating with Texas about that this is an invasion. That this is an invasion. Let me cover a couple of things here. This is according to the 10th Amendment of the United States, defines the relationship between the federal and state governments. It states that any powers not delegated to the federal government by the Constitution are reserved for the states of the people. So basically, whatever the federal government does not protect or does not delegate or not gives authority and power to, that the states have the freedom of right. They have the freedom to do what they want to do. Because as we dive a little bit deeper here, Section 4, and it's according to the Constitution, it says the United States shall guarantee, the United States, that's the federal government, should guarantee every state in this union a Republican form of government and shall protect each of them against invasion. You see what Governor Abbott did there? He said that Texas is being invaded and I have the right to protect my state because I'm following the Constitution. I'm abiding by the constitutional law. That's what Governor Abbott was stating. But it says here that the government shall protect states against invasion or on application of legislator or of the executive against domestic violence. That's what Governor Abbott is saying, that Texas is being invaded. That Texas is being invaded. The Supreme Court now has until March 9th to intervene. The Texas government says, according to the U.S. and Texas Constitution, it has the right to implement its own immigration laws in the event of an invasion. In the event of an invasion, likely migrant to a public foreign enemy. But legal experts are skeptical of this argument. Biden administration said a surge of unauthorized immigration plainly is not an invasion within the meaning of the state war clause. Wait a minute, Biden, is Biden admitting that we have people who are illegally in the country? That's what the Biden administration said. And the Biden administration represents Joe Biden. It's like if you had a publicist, if you had an agent, the agent is talking for you. So I'm stating here that they know that we have millions of people that's in the country illegally. We have millions of people in the country illegally. A surge of unauthorized immigration plain is not an invasion within the meaning of the state war clause. And even if it were, listen to this. It's kind of like, no, I didn't rob that bank. But if I did rob that bank, and even if it were, the clause does not permit states to contradict the federal government, consider response in any evasion that has occurred. And of course, the ACLU had to step in. Advocates have warned that the law will separate families and directly lead to racial profiling. So we have to worry about people who are illegally in the country, about their families being separated. Let you go to a country illegally, family. Let you go to another country illegally and see if they try to help you to get your family back together. Subjecting thousands of Black and brown Texans to the prison system. What I tell you, this is what they're stating on The Guardian. This is why I'm telling you, family, foundational Black Americans, you better be carrying your passport or a copy of it or an ID card with you. Let me tell you. They're telling us because of people at the border. I don't know how many people live in Eagle Pass. I don't know how many people live in the border, the border states and those border towns in Arizona, New Mexico, California, as well as Texas. I don't know how many of Black folk that live there. But what they should be saying, subjecting thousands of brown, meaning Latinos, to the state prison system. Why they always got to bring Black people in everything that they do? They didn't say Asian people. They didn't say Peruvian people. They didn't say Syrian people. They didn't say Middle Easterners. They said Black and brown. God damn it, ACLU. Wow. They just don't stop. They just don't stop, family. The ACLU, woo. Oh, they get me fired up sometimes. I don't want to get on them. They got a lot of power, right? Because we know who they represent. We know who they represent, family. Let me get on to some things here so we can talk about this invasion that people keep using. Let's talk about the invasion very quickly. According to the Texas Public Policy Foundation, the meaning of invasion, both physical ingress into a state entry, physical entry, and the intent by the invader to act as an enemy to the state. Now, I'm not stating that no undocumented migrant is an enemy of the state, that they're trying to come over here and do unlawful things. But does Greg Abbott has a point when he says invasion? Does Greg Abbott has a point? Because don't forget, they're not just innocent men, women, and children come over the border for opportunities in America, but there's also cartels. There's also gangs that's coming over through the border. Don't forget about the 10 IEDs that Governor Abbott found at the border. Don't forget about that, which, you know, in America, we'll label that as a weapon of mass destruction. But no, they're just dirty bombs. IEDs are just dirty bombs. So is that an invasion if you have cartels coming over as well? If you have people who tend to do ill will, we see all the violence in the shelters. We see all the rapings that's going on. We saw the white girl that got killed, that got unalived. We saw the Black 16-year-old who was offending a young lady. He was jumped by around 6 or 7 undocumented migrants, and he got stabbed 3 or 4 times. So when we look at these things, is that not an invasion? I'm asking a question. I don't know. I'm asking a question. Let me move on. Family, I want you to come to the conclusions. I'm just giving you the information. Okay? This is just the truth. This is just the truth. Let me go down here a little bit. Let me see. Let me go back one, family. Let me go back one. I think I had one more thing to show you guys. I had one more. I wanted to go to Merriam-Webster, where it is, Where's Merriam-Webster? I want to give you that definition of invasion because Merriam-Webster had a really good definition about this, family. They had a really good definition. I think I lost it. I do apologize for that. I really wanted to drive home another point there, but nonetheless, we'll move to the next. The Constitution, however, is silent on immigration. The Constitution is silent on immigration. The federal government is not explicitly granting a general power to exclude or remove non-citizens from the United States. Nevertheless, U.S. courts have allowed federal government to exercise such a power. So the Constitution is pretty much blank on immigration, family. The only thing that the Constitution stated, if you was born an American, you're an American. And everything that Texas have tried to do, you know what the Biden administration has done. He has blocked every single thing they have done. Supreme Court temporarily blocks new Texas immigration enforcement laws. That's what's been going on. Everything that Texas have been trying to do to secure their borders, the federal government has stepped in and blocked Texas. Yes, they have. I'm going to read some of your comments here, family. I'm not ignoring you guys this evening, but there's just a lot of things we got to cover here. There's a lot of things we have to cover because there's some other things I want to show you guys as well. Texas deploys war logic about border invasion clause explained. Here we go. Texas officials believe they have the authority to employ their own immigration solutions at the Mexican border hinges on a previously failed argument that migrants are invading the state and federal government has abandoned its duty to stop them. The U.S. Constitution grants authority to states to define themselves when actually invaded, which is true. And when the threat is so imminent, they don't have time to wait on congressional approval. So if Texas does whatever they want to do, they will be going against the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court, I think, going to make a final decision on SB 4, I believe March 13th. Originally, it was March 19th before they stepped in. It goes on to say here, however, in the 1990s, 3 different appeals courts rejected claims that a surge in migrants equals an invasion. They said a surge in migrants really don't equal an invasion, Texas. But now, some 30 years later, Texas Governor Abbott and Attorney General Ken Paxton are reviving the argument of defending actions the state has taken at the border to turn back migrants. New state law authorizing officials to arrest and deport migrants suspected of entering the country illegally. Measures Biden says are exclusive authority of the federal government. Carry your passports. Carry your passport, family. I'm giving you real advice here. Carry your passport, carry a copy of it, carry a picture ID with a copy of your passport, because at the end of the day, they know that they're giving migrants ID cards. They know that they're giving migrants work permits. They know that they're giving migrants houses and apartments. They know that they're giving migrants credit cards, cash in hand. They know that they're giving migrants every benefit and resources that foundational Black Americans have been fighting for from the time we stepped on this land. But you will have all sorts of folk to tell you, stop being lazy, nigga. You will have tethers. You will have anchor babies. You will have first generation whites inside the country tell you how they work so hard, and that the stereotypical tropes that this country has labeled foundational Black Americans time and time again as lazy is a farce. It's false. It's a lie. But they continue to perpetuate this narrative. And they have all of these people believing it. And you guys continue to vote for parties that do nothing for the people. We are all we got. You think that your family is good because you have a good job or you have a good business that you built? You think that they can't be discriminate? They can't be bias against, discriminatory against, racist against, you believe that won't happen to you and yours? If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. Because you're going to be on an island by yourself. And everybody needs help. Everybody will need help. Secretary of the United States temporarily blocks Texas immigration law, reversing Fifth Circuit ruling. The Fifth Circuit ruling on March 2nd came just a day after U.S. District Judge David Ezra in Austin blocked SB 4 from going into effect, saying the law threatens the fundamental notion that the U.S. must regulate immigration with one voice. Governor Abbott signed SB 4 in December, making Texas latest attempt to try to deter people from the crossing of the I can't even say the word, family. I'm so pumped up. Rio Grande, after several years of historical numbers of migrants arriving at the Texas-Mexico border. SB 4 seeks to make illegally crossings the border a Class B misdemeanor, carrying a punishment up to 6 months in jail. That's basically what they're saying. We're going to prosecute people who are in the country illegally. The first time offense, we're going to give you 6 months. Second time offense, we're thinking about giving you 20 years, or we may just deport you altogether. That's what that's about. That's what that's about, family. There's a lot going on when it comes to illegal immigration, and a lot of people do not believe that illegal immigration affects Black folk. And I tell you here today, family, I had so much to show you guys. Because when I look at the so-called commander-in-chief, the commander-in-chief, Joe Biden, and how he has told us constantly how Black people assisting him in getting to office. But what has that done for us? That's the question I have for you, family. What has that done for us? That's a posing question. Because a lot of people are going to say they're still going to vote, which is fine. I'm not asking anyone not to vote. I'm just telling you that I'm not going to vote because there's nothing on the table for us to vote. So what's the point? How's that going to help us? How's that going to help us, family? That's all I'm stating. And like I told you guys before, I had much of some video clips to show you guys today, but for some reason, Twitter is not playing sound. Maybe they got hacked too. Who knows? Maybe Twitter got hacked too. I don't know. And this will kind of reinforce what I was stating earlier about the amount of people that's in the country. Custom Border Patrol migrant account has already exceeded 1 million since October. 1 million. 1 million. Look at this. And as I told you before, they would like to have you there. Oh, the only people that's coming over here are innocent women and children. Are innocent women, men, and children. Well, according to the United States Border Patrol chief, this fiscal year 24, they have apprehended 160 undocumented subjects with gang affiliations. The Pisces or the Pisces, MS-13, and don't forget, we told you guys about the fentanyl that's going up into Montana that's affecting Native Americans. The Sinaloa cartel. But hold on. Give me a second, family. I don't know where this video is coming from. Here we go. Let's get rid of that very quickly. Let's focus on this very quickly. They stated that they are involved with murder, extortion, narcotics, weapons, human trafficking, and prostitution. This is a threat to our safety and why we need agents patrolling the border. See, he wasn't really trying to get political, if you notice that. He was really trying to save face when it came to that. I respect that. I respect that. He got to keep his job. Guy got to keep his job, guys. a lot of times people don't like when people go hard on people for whatever reason. Sometimes you got to keep your job. You know, you got a family too, but you can still speak the truth, but you got to keep your job. He's like, I'm not dealing with none of that. I'm not dealing with none of that. Okay. Yeah, so Twitter, for whatever reason, family, Twitter is not playing for me today. I think they knew the importance of this broadcast, how powerful this broadcast and how vital this broadcast is. So I think they just kind of blocked all sound from Twitter for me. But nonetheless, I'm going to address some of your comments here. Okay, I'm going to address some of your comments because I have, you know what? I have a lot on my mind, though. I do have a lot on my mind. I have a lot on my mind. Because I think all the things that we cover here just this evening, what you guys are learning about is the systematic support and assistance that this government gives every other group except Foundation of Black Americans. And the one thing I want to continue to point out is suspected white supremacist comments in my DMs talking about you guys are just begging and crying for free money. Won't you get off your asses and do something? Why, stop being lazy and stop abandoning your families. See, these are all white supremacist tactics to get people overly emotional and lash out and probably do something that's not in the best interest of themselves or the best interest of the people, or to continue to perpetuate a narrative about us in stereotypes. But it won't work because we know who we are. You can always focus on the 1% of our people, the low brow of our people, the criminal class of our people. But we understand you have the same thing we have at a larger portion, at a larger demographic, and you guys have committed some of the most vicious crimes known to man. You have committed some of the vicious crimes that have been so damn humane. Not just in slavery, not just during the Knight Templars, not just the Viking era, but current day with the continuing brutalization of unarmed Black men and women and children. That's what we're talking about. And when it comes to this migrant crisis, family, there's so many things that we should really be combing through. Because the reason why Mayor Adams is doing what he's doing, and I'm not saying I agree, because I know who is going to target it, but there's been a string of assaults and deaths in the New York subways. So people are rightfully concerned about their safety while commuting to and fro work in other places. And that's why I believe this is kind of revisiting the whole stop and frisk, because migrants are not just one color. Migrants are just not one race. We have people from all over the world that's entering the country illegally, some in large numbers, some in small portions. But nonetheless, the police are going to have to target everybody except white people. So when you have your Latinos who are white passing, they may just get away. They can speak decent English. That's all I'm saying, family. Is that a stretch? I don't believe it's a stretch. I think I'm hitting the nail right in the coffin. That's what I believe. There's just so many darn things going on that I think we really need to comb through a lot of these errors, because when I look at what's happening to America, and I've said this before on this channel, we are going through an age of decadence when it comes to the fall of an empire. We're in the age of decadence when it comes to the fall of an empire. Look it up, family. That is right before the age, that is right before the stage of failure and collapse. And I still have people thinking that America not be overpopulated. Let me read some of your comments here. I'm going to try to get as many of these as I want. I see my brother Jermaine Anderson in the room, one of my mods. Thank you guys for modding. We got Trump and the good old days and the good old ways. Vote Trump, he says. Trump has did many amazing things to help the colored. I don't know where this suspected white supremacist is from, but I don't know who the hell he's talking about when he's referring to colored. You might can take that to South Africa, but here we have Foundation of Black Americans and we have everybody else. So you can call everybody else what they are. Because we're going to call white folks. We're going to call Latinos. We're going to call Asian folk. We're going to call black folk. We don't do the whole damn color folk. We don't do people of color. We don't say low. No. We call them what they is. DSB says we got no respect in fighting for this country. No, we don't. And I'm gonna I know people have been asking for me to do this, so I'm gonna go ahead and do this for you guys. I'm going to put an invite link inside of the chat. If anybody wants to join in, call up here and make any comments, I'll do that for you guys very briefly. That is now in the chat. DSB says my unit had to train the Tennessee unit to get them ready for Iraq. They had to come to our base in Mississippi. So they already trained up. Okay. Let's see what else we got here. Jermaine Anderson, one of my mods. Thank you for supporting me, sir. I do appreciate that. I do appreciate the hard work that my mods go into in promoting the channel. Your hard works do not go unnoticed. They do not. Okay. Let's see what else I got here. Let me do a little promotion here real quick. I guess I don't got nothing in the chat here. Who else we got here? Oh, we got our buddy Sean here. Another sad fact is that the only time black people aren't lazy is when they're given free labor. I know, right? He made a good point. Sean said the only time that black people aren't lazy is when we're doing free labor. But see, you know, the argument there is I hear so many people, because they hit me up on my comments. I started doing a lot more shorts, family. Check out my shorts. They're in my playlist on my channel, my shorts. Check those out. A lot of people have been commenting about my shorts. They say you wasn't a slave. They start making it very personal. Okay. Solid Snake, our number one troll, Solid Snake says we are being replaced. You must vote. What we voting for, Solid Snake? Who we voting for, Solid Snake? Sean states one of the easiest ways to keep stealing money from black people as a whole, while America still mistreat blacks and making black people third-class citizens. We're not even third class. We're not third class, family. And one of our great master teachers, Dr. Claude Anderson, stated that we're going to be fourth, and we are now fourth. We are now fourth economically. Let me break this down for you guys. You have white people who are first economically. Secondly, you have Asian folk. We're talking about economic classes, and then within the Asian demographics, you have Indian folk who are quote unquote the richest and most successful in America. Then thirdly, you have Hispanic folks. Because think about this, family. At one point in time, black folk, we had all the low skilled jobs in America, right? We were carpenters, we were engineers, but they knew how to destroy that. They destroyed that by mass incarceration with the 1994 crime bill, that a lot of the fathers of Generation X went into jail. So a lot of Generation X and millennials, unfortunately, became beta males, right? And became sissified and punctified and bussified because they didn't have a father figure in the home. And then for our women, they made the government their husbands. They made them supportive off the teat and off the tit of the government, providing numerous amounts of Section 8 housing and not empowering Black women, but disempowering Black women and knocking the legs off the very foundation of the Black family by incarcerating the Black male and brutalizing the Black teenage male. And at the same time, whore out the Black female and the Black female children. That's what this government has done. But they will lie to you and tell you that you have the same opportunities and the same rights that any other American has. But nobody wants to talk about the past. Nobody wants to talk about history. Nobody wants to talk about present day. Was George Floyd that long ago? Was Trayvon Martin that long ago? All the video clips that you guys been seeing about Black people trying to cash a check at their assigned bank, and even the checks that the bank issued them, they're trying to cash them at the bank, or their employer is in relations and business with that bank, and you're trying to cash a check at the bank where you bank, and they won't cash your check, and they have to call the police, and now you have to sue. You see all the things that we go through. You don't hear this happening to other folk. But they would tell you, well, it's not just a policing problem, Black Logic. It's not just a Black only thing. It's for the American people. And I always tell people this: the issues that Black people address are probably issues that a lot of Americans face. But the one thing they fail to understand is that it happened to Black folk than any other people in America. That's what they're failing to understand. And then the whole kumbaya, all lives matter, let's join hands, let's get into the fight together. Has that worked for us? No, 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 no. History has shown foundational Black Americans that when we let people inside of our movements, when we let people inside of our protests, they somehow figure out how to take over that protest and bastardize the movement to make it something that it was not originally from the message stated from the beginning. It turns into something totally different. And a lot of times now we have to defend ourselves against the organization of BLM. And I tell people all the time, the Black Lives Matter movement is totally different than the Black Lives Matter organization. They're two different entities, and I don't think people understand that. I don't think people understand that. Okay, I put that link in the chat for everybody. Beachman said it's rough out here, man. What you mean, Beachman? What do you mean by that? It's rough out here. What do you mean by that? I put that link in the chat for family. If anybody have any questions, any comments that they want to speak, I'll be on here for a couple of more minutes. I'll be on here a couple of minutes till I get any of my clips up. For some reason, none of my clips are working. I give a couple of more minutes while I'm live here in case anybody has any questions or comments. Solid Snake says I'm FBA. Oh, now you're FBA. Boy, you know what, Solid Snake, man? You need to stop drinking, brother. You need to stop drinking. Solid Snake, there's no way you're not drinking, smoking, or doing something. I hate to say it, but the truth is the goddamn truth. You're doing something, brother. Because last time you was on this broadcast, you was like, I ain't no damn FBA, goddamn B1. You was all against it. Now you're FBA. He said, many of my community saw that video with my shirt off and drunk. Okay, brother, you was drunk. Okay. I don't know if I can give you a pass, but you can't get on the live with the shirt off with baby oil on, bending over. I don't know what that's about. He said, although I'm sad about what I did on your show, a lot of my community are subscribed. That's what's up. I appreciate the support. I appreciate the support. Beachman says it's a figure of speech. Family, I'm going to try this one more time. See if I can get some of these clips up. I had a whole list of clips that I wanted to share with you guys that were very, very important to the broadcast. And for whatever reason, I cannot get those clips back. So just bear with me. Give me 1 second here as I try to pop these clips back up. Give me 1 second. Hold on for a second here, family. I really want to show you some things. So I put these things together. And I think a lot of times we speak about immigration, that illegal immigrants are a net fiscal drain to our country because they receive more in government services than they pay in taxes. Anybody thought about that? Anybody thought that the amount of services and benefits that illegal immigrants receive, are you guys not understanding? Are you guys not understanding that they do not pay taxes? They do not pay taxes. So how's that money being replaced? How's that money being replaced? And I think that's a large part of what we're not covering, that the amount of money that these different states and the federal government is forking out for illegal immigration, that money is not being replaced by them paying taxes. So that's something to look at as well. Now, I had a clip. I'm just going to show you what this clip is very quickly. For whatever reason, family is not playing. I have no idea why. Okay, I have no idea why. But I want to show you this clip. If you come across this clip here, I have it on my Twitter. You guys go watch some of these clips. I'm gonna point out to you. This is basically about Shirley Chisholm stating how the American government puts Caribbeans in America to replace blacks. Now, it has some captions, so I am going to play it. Okay, I am going to play it because it does have captions. Look at this, family.
Shirley Chisholm, right? Her family was given housing priority over African American families. And she wrote about that in her book to share to people that, like, during that time, America was intentionally bringing Caribbean families here and giving them more generational wealth and taking that away from African Americans that were already here. So I went to Brooklyn College too, and I have this Trinidadian professor. But what she said was like, back in like the 60s, 70s, they wanted a more docile, and they was doing too much. So they brought over the more docile, well-behaved, hardworking black people from the Caribbean, and they gave them opportunities to land and housing, and especially in New York. So Shirley Chisholm, right? Her family.
That's what they're saying. Shirley Chisholm and his other young lady was stating how the American government was bringing over Caribbean folk that were docile and giving them benefits over Black Americans. So what a racist white folk are going to say about this? Not all white folk. Don't beat me up, guys. I'm not saying every white person or Asian or Hispanic person is racist. I'm not stating that. But for those who always love to comment me and troll me about some of these very same things, what are you going to say about people who are now foundational Black Americans coming out and speaking the truth? And believe it, this is very important. This is very important. And I'm surprised that people are not going to start to go after Shirley Chisholm, because a lot of these folks would like to believe that when Caribbeans come over, when Africans come over, when Asians come over, when Hispanics come over, when Haitians come over, when South Americans come over, when Central Americans come over, they would like to believe that they're working from the bottom up, that they're not getting any assistance, they're not getting any support, they're not receiving any benefits or getting any resources. I already showed you how Maine is providing free housing for undocumented workers, undocumented migrants, undocumented immigrants, illegal aliens, illegal immigrants, illegal undocumented. They're giving them houses. New York is giving them credit cards, apartments, $2,000 petty cash. They're emptying out luxury apartments in New York. They're dropping them off in Black neighborhoods around the nation. And the same resources that those Black folk who are hurting economically, mentally, physically, they're not providing the same resources to them. America is divided. America is divided, family. And if you don't believe America is divided, just talk to your nearest white supremacist. Just talk to your nearest anchor baby. Talk to your nearest tether. Talk to your nearest putting on a cape. Talk to your nearest coon. Talk to your nearest Sambo. Talk to your nearest redcoat. Talk to your nearest turncoat. Talk to them and see whose side they're on. This is not a race war. This is not a war against America. This is not a war against white people, Hispanic people, Asian people. This is a war of what's owed to foundational Black Americans and how they never repaid us, our ancestors, and are still ignoring us, even though they won our vote, even though they won our support. Well, let me tell you this. You're not going to get it. You're not going to get it. Family, here's a new shirt that I made. And this is just a test shirt, FBA on the back. No tangibles, no vote. Let me know if you guys like that shirt. I also made some FBA shirts. And I put a huge ass couch on the back. I put couch 2024. Lady Warrior States, make sure he puts specifics on the table, not empty promises and symbolics. Thank you very much. B1 to you, Royalty. Nice to see you, brother. Family, I would like to thank everybody in joining me this evening for this broadcast. I do apologize. I had some very impactful clips for you guys. Okay. I guess I got dial-up internet because it's not working appropriately. But nonetheless, I once again thank you for supporting the channel. Please subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you know when I go live or upload a video, as well as share this on your social medias and let your friends and families know about this, because family, maybe you can't curtail, inform, or educate them on this matter. Maybe I can. Maybe people in the Black empowerment space can. It's not about going against America. This is our country. Foundational Black Americans love this country. Our ancestors built this country, and we love everything about this country. But we still have to fight for what's rightfully ours. We still have to fight for justice. We still have to fight for equality, and we still have to let them know what they owe to us by the way and the loins of our lineage, the blood, sweat, and tears of our ancestors, which is cash payments, reparations, regardless of the suspected white supremacists and those with the white supremacist ideology say. Sometimes I address them, sometimes I don't. Thank you guys for joining me here this evening. I see we have miles apart. He said, I remember when I got out of the military back in the 1990s, my white co-worker had stated he would rather have foreign employees versus Black and white because they were well better workers. And there you have it. You guys have a great and wonderful evening. Be one.